Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and this is me after doing the video. I'm getting a little bit of my FNAF side out in this video. So yeah. Also, I have some ideas that I want to do in this video. Not in this video, but like video ideas, and I just want you to see if this is like, see if you guys want to do this too. One of the ideas I've been thinking is a room tour because I have a bunch of stuff in my room. I have so much stuff in my room. I really want to do a room tour. And if you guys do want to do a room tour, then just say in the comments. Also, this is a long video. I'm sorry for that, but it's a long video. But yeah, it's a long video. It's like an hour, 20 minutes or something like that. Yeah, a long video. So, sorry for the long video. I keep repeating myself, but actually, no. I'm actually sorry for the long vid. But if you do watch all of it, thank you, because I had to suffer in this video. I had to suffer watching FNAF. Chat. Come on. But, yeah, I would love to do a room tour. And, I'm going to tell a little bit of the plan that I want to do, too. We're going to play, so you already seen Citrus Remastered, the first episode, which will probably be more episodes. I'm probably going to get back to playing the game. But before that, we're going to start playing BioShock. Yeah, I have the entire collection and all that stuff. Then we'll probably get back to the Arkham games. I don't know. It depends how much I'm into BioShock. And if I just, go in, because not even gonna lie, playing Citrus Remastered, I wasn't really, I was into it, but not, that much. Maybe because I'm probably not, that far into the story. So maybe if I get farther into the game, I might get more into it. We'll see. But, yeah, I really I've heard good things about BioShock, and I'm really happy about BioShock. So, yeah, I'm also gonna play the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe game. So, yeah, basically that's a sequel to Stanley Parable. So, yeah. I'm going to play that. That's probably not even going to be in, an episode series. So, there'll probably be an edited video and a VOD for that video. If you don't know what a VOD is, it's basically the entire whole video unedited. So, that's probably what I'm going to do. So, if you want to watch the VOD, you can watch the VOD. If you want to watch the video, you can watch the video. So, I'm saying, the video will probably be, 40 minutes, but the VOD could be, hours. The game's long. It's really long. So, yeah. But that's all. I really want to do a room tour. If you guys want to do a room tour too, say in the comments. I really want to do a room tour. But I think that's all it. Let's get into my old me, 2 days ago. So, yeah, let's get into it. Oh, yeah, and also, so before we go in, go subscribe to Royce the Alien too, dude. He's such an amazing creator, and I would really appreciate if you go to his channel and subscribe, especially watch his vlogs. I love his vlogs. But yeah, go subscribe to him, and yeah, let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back. Well, not welcome back. Well, yeah. Well, I'm probably going to do a postpone to an intro and all that stuff, but whatever. Welcome back to another video, and today we are so... Yes, I know, I am a FNAF... yes, I'm a FNAF nerd, okay? I like FNAF, and I need a recap. So, that's what we're doing today. Cause maybe if I do a recap, maybe I can do theories. Next map hat? No. Give it, this guy named Brussel. I don't know if I said that right. But, yeah, he'll be in the link in the description. Go subscribe. Go watch his videos. He's amazing. Let's watch this video.
Five Nights at Freddy's is arguably one of the most influential games in indie horror. It practically pioneered the concept of meta lore and hidden story, and we can see this in indie games of the present day. In middle school, all that was on my mind was Golden Freddy, the mysterious Purple Man, and how to install Minecraft mods on my PC. All this is to say that FNAF had a huge impact on a lot of people's childhood. And after the release of the newest game, Security Breach, I was inspired to make sense of the never-ending, contradictory hurricane that is Five Nights at Freddy's. To begin, I rewatched every game theory video, read a ton of Reddit posts, and analyzed videos with barely 100 views. Then I got thinking, this lore has gone unsolved for so long. How? The main story is over, and we have a lot of huge questions answered. The timeline videos I watched were fun.
I like his editing. It reminds me of Game Theory, MadPad's videos, which I think he's inspired by it, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, back to the video.
Fine, but they never explained how they arrived at the conclusions they arrived at. Or they just had poor/biased evidence. I almost freaking tore my hair out when MadPad dropped this in the video.
Now, while I could sit here and rattle off hexadecimal color codes and animatronic design features to painfully hammer out the timeline inch by inch, no one cares.
Dude, I care so much. That being said, this video will assume that you have some basic knowledge of FNAF. I
hope you can't hear me eating chips, bro. Back to the video.
recommend this video that will explain the basic history of FNAF and a rough version of the timeline. But keep in mind that I do not believe that this is the correct version of the timeline. Watched it? Good. And just so you're aware, some of the stuff we're about to discuss is pretty graphic, so viewer discretion is advised. Who am I kidding? It's fucking FNAF. This shit's for kids.
I know.
So, before we begin, I gotta get one thing out of the way.
Also, yeah, before we begin, fucking 3-year-olds know fucking FNAF. Like, fuck. I said the F word way too much in that sentence, but like, dude, fuck them kids. No, that sounded so wrong. But you know what I meant? Like, bro, they're searching up Skibbity Toilet. Like, do they really need, like, advised? I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Sorry for cussing. Like, sorry for my French back, Daniel.
FNAF lore is goofy as shit. You got kids possessing animatronics. You got animatronics
yeah,
the insides of humans so they can wear their skin as a skin suit to appear human on the outside. You got the main villain of the series turning himself to computer code so he can go into a VR headset and infect the entire world with his purpleness. It's one of the dumbest fictional lores of all.
Sorry. I'm not into what the hell. I'm not this part of the FNAF fandom. Like, what the fuck? Why is Freddy bricked up? Like, what the fuck? Let's just continue.
Time. And I fucking love it. The reason it's so wacky is because the series has been rebooted like 3 different times.
Yeah.
And it's because of these reboots that there is a lot of conflicting evidence, meaning that you can't really construct a correct timeline if you look at all the evidence objectively now in 2022. So we have to go back to August 8th, 20...
This video's a year ago, okay. Well, when in the new year, it says a year ago. So sometime in 2025 when it's going to be 2 years, but yeah, continue.
14, when Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was released. Now, it may be hard for the FNAF community to grasp, but Scott isn't God, okay? He didn't have frickin' security breach in his mind when he made FNAF 1. Hell, he didn't even have FNAF 4 in mind. The only hints of a story in the first game were newspaper clippings that hinted at 5 missing children, a mysterious yellow bear that said, "It's me," and that's honestly about it. Due to the first game's popularity, Scott released FNAF 2, which built on the story in 1, introducing a proper villain, a shadowy purple figure. New animatronics were introduced, along with the addition of mini-games and the reveal of a mysterious place called
Red Bear's Family Diner or something like that.
Scott has confirmed in an interview with YouTuber Daco that FNAF 2's story was not in mind during FNAF 1. However, when making FNAF 2, Scott had a clear vision of the story in FNAF 3.
So when you were making Five Nights at Freddy's 1, were you already planning on making a sequel?
I definitely left a lot of things open-ended. I did not have the entire story planned out.
Was this meant to be the final game?
I think when I was making that game, that was the end of a trilogy. The story was going to be 3 games.
But it couldn't just end at 3. Fans were not happy with Springtrap's jump scare, so Scott made FNAF 4. This was a complete departure from the story of the original trilogy, telling the tale of a child afraid of the animatronics at Fredbear's, ending in his inevitable death. Before we get to the 5th game, let's talk about something very important. retcons. Scott has confirmed that he has properly retconned the story once, and I believe this is where he did it, in between FNAF 4 and FNAF 5, also known as Sister Location. Why here? Well, Sister Location changes the context of what happened in FNAF 4 drastically. The underground bunker in Sister Location is under the FNAF 4 house, someone was observing the crying child through cameras, and the Fredbear plushie is shown with a walkie-talkie, implying that someone is communicating to the crying child through the Fredbear plush. None of these details could have possibly been the original intention of the first 4 games, and we know that the first 4 games were supposed to tell one complete story. Prior to Sister Location, the purple guy is just a psycho killer, but now he's been given an actual character, humanized with the name Mr. Afton. In FNAF 6, better known as Pizzeria Simulator, we get a lot of new voice lines, new characters are introduced, and these characters are named, a relative first for the series, the most important new character being Henry, Afton's business partner, slapped in for the final game. The reason I'm bringing all of this up is because it allows us to determine which pieces of evidence can be used where. For example, evidence from FNAF 4 can't really be used to explain Sister Location, but Sister Location can be used to explain elements of FNAF 4. This is because the concept of Sister Location did not exist when FNAF 4 was conceptualized. Here's an example. A popular fan theory says that...
Well, you also have to think, when you're making a video game, especially an indie game, you don't... If you really want to make a sequel, then you would think about it, right? So you have all the story elements and all that, shit. But Scott Cawthon did not have mind about a sequel. Especially a trilogy, or even a quadruple, which is 4 games. He did not had in mind of all this stuff. He probably only wanted to just make one game and blah, 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 but people loved it so much he made a sequel. That's typical indie stuff. Yes, in an indie game you can have story, and I feel like that's why a lot of people, when they're going into an indie game, they think that there will be story in there, which, yeah, there will be story in there. But what about just an indie game or just about gameplay? And then in the sequel, or maybe even they have a DLC, story comes involved. You know what I'm saying? I think you do, guys. I think you do. You know what I'm saying. But, yeah. Scott Cawthon did not have in mind about a sequel, a trilogy, or a quadruple. He was just making the games. And that's why the story is so fucked up. Not in that way. Yeah, it is pretty brutal. But the reason why it's so messed up, in the timeline area, there's 3 versions of the story. You got the original trilogy, you got 1 through 4, and you got 1 through, I think, all the way to Security Breach. Ruin. So that's why there's so many different stories. So, yeah, there's 3 stories to this. You got the original... Yeah, I'm not repeating myself, and I bet you he'll say it into here in this video, too. So, yeah, let's get into it.
This character from FNAF 4 is Circus Baby, but that cannot be the case, as the concept of Circus Baby did not exist until...
Like I said, he did not have in mind.
Sister Location came out. So, to sum this portion up, FNAF 1 through 3 is a contained story, 1 through 4 is a contained story, and 1 through 6 is a contained story.
I knew it! He took my idea, guys. He took my idea. I don't know, I've never watched this video, too. So he must have took my idea, bro.
Got it? Okay, so let's touch on the most annoying game of the series. Don't give it up, Lupe! Don't give it up, Solo! Don't give it up, now! Remember how I said that...
Is this gonna be the Dream Theory? Which would make really sense. And at the time in FNAF 4's release, Dream Theory was canon. It was. The only reason why it wasn't canon in the future was because of Sister Location. So, Dream Theory, I really think 1 through 4 was, I think he was happy with 1 through 4. And that would have been Dream Theory. 1 through 4 is Dream Theory. Which the first 3 games would have been dreams, and the 4th one was real. And obviously he's going to contain evidence. Why? But honestly, I really think he should have stopped at 4. Not saying it was, just because the story was perfect. And even Elastic Droid, he's an amazing creator. You should watch him. He's an amazing creator. But I saw his thoughts on it. Like, I was like looking for a good video, and I saw him, and I was like, I'll watch it like a little bit. But I saw his ideas about Dream Theory, and he was like, "Yo, bro, this will be a perfect story." And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying." So yeah. Back to the video we're watching.
Retcon the story in between FNAF 4 and 5?
Long, bro.
Well, that's because the story of FNAF 4 was ass. May I direct you to Dream Theory? Dream Theory was popularized by MatPat a while back as an explanation for FNAF 4. The theory being that the first 3 games were dreams that take place in the mind of the crying child, our 4th game protagonist. Coupled with the fact that Scott told us that the answer for FNAF 4 was controversial, I believe that Dream Theory was canon, at least at the time of FNAF 4. The evidence for...
Yeah, it was canon at the release of FNAF 4. The fucking sister location fucked everything up.
It is overwhelming. Springtrap is explained, the animatronics coming to life is explained, Phone Guy is explained, the toy and withered animatronics are explained, Mangle is explained, Purple Guy is explained, even the shadow animatronics are explained. That must have sounded like nonsense to someone who's not into FNAF, but that's a lot of fucking evidence for this series.
Yes,
Scott
really
even
is.
gave a hint during one of Game Theory's live streams. In the FNAF 4 minigame, why would the tiny toy Chica be missing her beak? The only answer that I can think of is that Crying Child saw this, and it appeared in his dreams in FNAF 2. But the smoking gun is the sound heard at the end of every night in FNAF 1 through 3. The truth is, behind closed doors, the P...
What is this advertisement, bro? What? No, I gotta stop. What the fuck was that advertisement? What the hell? Sorry, back to the video.
A grandfather clock. The same grandfather clock that is outside of the crying child's room. I swear to God, I fucking when MatPat said that in his video.
What? He fucking... Whoa, bro, he busted right there and then? Oh!
The implication here is that the grandfather clock doesn't end a security guard shift at 6 a.m., but instead wakes up the crying child from their dream at 6 a.m. If you want a better explanation of dream theory, you can always check out MatPat's
Yeah,
video.
we're not watching
I'll
the
link it in
video,
description
but
for
yeah.
you. So, prior to Sister Location, I do believe that FNAF 1 through 3 was a dream. But after Sister Location released, everything was retconned to be reality again. The reason I'm bringing all of this up is because a lot of FNAF 4's evidence was pointing towards dream theory and is thus dead in the current days of theory crafting. A lot of people in the community today still use pieces of FNAF 4 as hard evidence to prove something that probably wasn't even intended in the first place. And yes, I am aware of that cute little quote by Scott where he said, every little thing in FNAF 4 has meaning. Yeah, I know. But he said that at the time of FNAF 4's release, meaning he was hinting at dream theory, meaning that quote, no longer has relevance in the current days of theorizing. My God, stop using Pigtail Girl as evidence for missing children. Damn, I got a little heated there. My bad. Okay, to summarize that section, if you didn't understand the past 8 minutes of bullshit I've been saying, that's fine, because we're starting the timeline from square one right now.
Please explain Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay. William Afton was co-owner of Freddy Fazbear Pizza, and then Freddy Fazbear becomes Tony the Tiger in the new game.
Before we even start placing events on the timeline, every good story has to have its characters, and we have quite a few to cover, so here we go. So first up, we got our funny little purple man himself, William Afton, and his wife.
Do you hear the music in the background, bro? Fucking banger music. That is Super Mario. Brawls, yeah. Fucking good music. Sorry for my French today. That's good music, bro.
wife Afton. William and wife have 3 kids, 2 sons and a daughter. How do we know this? Well, we know that William Afton is purple guy, and purple guy drives the purple car in this minigame. Also, orange guy drives the purple car, meaning that orange guy and William Afton are one and the same person. Orange guy talks to his son on the couch. This son has gray text, the same text as the brother from FNAF 4, and the brother from FNAF 4 has a younger brother, the crying child. Also in FNAF 4, there is a girl's room implying the existence of a daughter. Therefore, William has 3 children. And that is just a taste of the insane logic paths that you need to take to make sense of anything in this series. Okay, so the last character of importance for now is Henry. Henry probably has a wife, and we know that he has a daughter. How do we know this? Well, Henry makes it pretty easy on us. At the end of FNAF 6, Henry straight up says that he has a daughter.
My daughter, if you can hear me.
We even know the names of some of these kids. The older brother from FNAF 4 is named Michael because, well, he straight up tells us in sister location,
Father, it's me, Michael.
And Henry tells us the name of William's daughter at the end of FNAF 6.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth.
As for Henry's own kid, we can turn to the non-canon FNAF book trilogy. In the books, Henry's daughter is named Charlie, so we'll just use that name for the parallel game timeline. Crying Child's name hasn't really been revealed yet. A lot of evidence points it towards being Evan, but I'm not really comfortable using that name since it hasn't been 100% figured out yet, so we'll just call him Crying Child. Alright, so we've got the Afton family consisting of William Afton, wife Afton, Michael Afton, Elizabeth Afton, and Crying Child Afton. And we have Henry's family consisting of Henry, his wife, and his daughter Charlie. Okay, now we can finally start the frickin' timeline.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay, so first we'll place events that have confirmed years of occurrence, and then we'll use those reference points to place events either before or after those key moments. So this will kind of be in order, but not really. Just stick with me. Currently, there are only 2 events that have explicit dates connected to them. The minigames from FNAF 4 and the following bite occur in 1983, indirectly confirmed in a Reddit post by Scott, and the gameplay from FNAF 2, shown on the final paycheck to occur during November.
You gotta be kidding me, bro. Can I ever watch good content? Bro, this is crazy. Okay, I think we're back.
Occur in 1983, indirectly confirmed in a Reddit post by Scott, and the gameplay from FNAF 2, shown on the final paycheck to occur during November of 1987. Other events can also be given concrete dates with a little math. Using the minimum wage rates on the FNAF 1 paycheck gives you the date 1993. This was initially discovered by MatPat right after the first game's released, so this isn't new news. FNAF 3 likely happens in 2023, as its Steam page says...
Which we're in 2025, which was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Quote,
guys, we were in a FNAF year 2 years ago, chat. 2 years ago.
Years after Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closed its doors. We also know that the first Fazbear restaurant is Fredbear's Family Diner, confirmed in the FNAF 2 phone calls.
Yeah, we're gonna try to contact the original restaurant owner. I think the name of the place was Fredbear's Family Diner.
I swear I haven't watched this video. I'm just like, this is just all the information in my head, okay?
We can place its founding at first in the timeline. The date of this event is relatively unimportant, but it probably occurs sometime in the 1970s. Okay, so that's all the events with dates connected to them. Now we can go chronologically. Okay, so first is the founding of Fredbear's Family Diner. Fredbear's was founded by Henry and William, as Henry calls Afton an old friend in the FNAF 6 True ending.
So don't keep the devil waiting, old friend.
Confirming that they are indeed business partners just like they were in the books. Fredbear's is the restaurant we see in FNAF 4, housing 2 golden animatronics, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. These 2 are spring-lock suits, meaning that they function both as an animatronic robot and a mascot suit that people can climb inside.
Which means you have to pull the spring locks back, and if there's any moisture, it will fucking kill you. So basically, like any moisture, so like say if I spit, cry, like any water gets into there, the spring rods will lock and go back into animatronic mode, and they will fucking kill you. It like the springs go. So basically, you like, I know you can't see, but imagine your hand that's open, right? And then you go slow, and as soon as like a touch of water, it closes. So your hand's in a fist. That's what happens to the spring locks, and that goes all through your body. Basically, when that happens, you're fucked. You can't get out. You bleed out. Like, you can get out, but it's going to be painful. Like, basically, they basically just leave you to die in those suits because, like, there's no point of getting out of it. So, yeah.
We learn how they work in the FNAF 3 vintage training tapes.
When using an animatronic as a suit, please ensure that the animatronic parts are tightly compressed
like I said,
by the spring locks located around the inside of the suit. Try not to nudge or press against any of the spring locks inside the suit. Do not touch the spring locks at any time. Do not breathe on the spring locks, as moisture may loosen them and cause them to break loose.
Yep.
In the case that the spring locks come loose while you are wearing a suit, please try to maneuver away from populated areas before bleeding out. That to not ruin the customer experience.
Turns out, spring lock suits aren't such a great idea. The tiniest drop of moisture can cause the locks to trip, causing the suit to unfold into animatronic mode, crushing whoever is inside. Luckily, that hasn't happened yet. After the success of Fredbear's, the two founded Fazbear Entertainment, and along with it, the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The Fazcoins in FNAF VR confirm that Freddy's opened in 1983, and this is backed up in the FNAF 4 Fredbear and Friends copyright date on the television. This is when the classics, Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, are built and placed in the restaurants. These guys are...
Which also, the classics models are the ones from FNAF 2, I don't know why he used the ones from FNAF 1, because that's in 1993, which are whole different models. So I don't know why he did that, but I think he'll show what they look like. They're the withered animatronics of FNAF 2.
Not springlock suits, just robots. So we've got two restaurants and two founders. Fredbear's founded sometime in the 70s, and the first Freddy's being founded in 1983. Now let's talk about one of the most iconic moments of the series, the death of the first victim. This is first portrayed in FNAF 2 during the Take Cake to the Children minigame. A purple William Afton gets out of his purple car and kills a child outside of a Fazbear-owned location, followed by the puppet jump scare. This implies that the first victim's soul possesses the puppet. Oh yeah, by the way, the souls of dead children inhabit the living endoskeletons of animatronics. That's going to be happening a lot in the future, so don't be surprised. Okay, that story seems pretty clear-cut, but the debate still rages on about where this happened. At Fredbear's or at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza? Well, my friends, the answer is... Freddy's. See, FNAF 2 isn't the only place where we see the death of the first victim depicted. We also see it in FNAF 6. I always found it weird to retell the story of the puppet here, but there was one odd detail. The puppet has green eyes in this minigame. Why? The puppet has never once been depicted with green eyes in the entire series. But what happens in the minigame? Well, we play as the puppet tasked with protecting a child with a green wristband. Scott specifically draws a connection between the color of the eyes and the color of the wristband. Well, in the same minigame, we see kids with blue, pink, and brown wristbands, the same eye colors as Freddy, Foxy, and Chica, the animatronics at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. However, this doesn't fully prove the theory for some. There's a misconception that the classics existed at the Fredbear's in FNAF 4. This never made sense to me, as there are no Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, or Foxy plush heads in the back room. Only Fredbear and Spring Bonnie ones. Also, the whole hype around FNAF 4 was around Fredbear's, not Freddy's, notably in the Property of Fredbear's Family Diner teaser. See the purple hat and bow tie? Okay, that's all well and good, but the question still remains, who is this kid? We get our answer in FNAF 6.
My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms, the way you lifted others into yours.
That's right, the soul that inhabits the puppet is none other than Henry's daughter, Charlie. This is also how we know that this is the first murder of the series. In the insanity ending of FNAF 6, Henry says this.
A wound first inflicted on me, but then one that I let bleed out to cause all of this.
Okay, but that raises an even bigger question. Why would William Afton kill his best friend's daughter?
Fire music.
Midnight Motorist is a minigame from FNAF 6. It follows a mysterious orange man speeding back to his home. One of the sections of the minigame is labeled later that night. So, which night is this? Account for the fact that Orange Guy is driving a purple car, heavy rain is falling, and tire tracks are seen outside of the security puppet minigame. This is the night of Charlie's murder. There are a lot of details to account for in this minigame. The first is the banging soundtrack. Holy shit! The second is a location called Junior's, and some people think that this is the FNAF 2 location, but this doesn't make any sense. The FNAF 2 Freddy's was marketed as a bigger and better Freddy's, not a smaller one. Not to mention the fact that it opened in 1987, way further down the timeline. Junior's is probably a bar, because at this point, there is no reason for William to be turned away from a Fazbear location. We also know that this happens in 1983, not only because of the later that night detail, but because the bite victim of 1983, or Crying Child, is still presumably alive. Evidence? Well, William returns home to find someone sitting on a recliner, watching TV. This is our first chronological look at William's oldest son, Michael. He seems sympathetic for someone, saying that he's had a rough day. Boom, there it is. That he is William's youngest son, the Crying Child. William bangs on his door, but no answer. He comes around from the outside to see that the window has been smashed, and there is a pair of three-toed footprints on the ground, and human footsteps walking past said footprints. This means that the child was not stolen away by an animatronic, but just broke out himself and ran away. Notice how William is unsurprised to see the footprints, almost as if he is the reason they exist. William then goes on to say that his son has ran off to that place again, and that he will be sorry when he gets back. So what is that place, and what do the footprints mean? There are multiple possibilities. That place could be Freddy's, Fredbear's, or it could be the unmarked grave right outside the house. But who could be dead so early in the series? Easy. It's William's wife. It explains why he's not allowed into the bar. He's been drinking away the pain, which is also why he is aggressively speeding through traffic. It also explains why he murdered Charlie in a drunken rage, angry at Henry for having a perfect family. This explanation also helps us with another...
Well, bitch, fucking life isn't perfect. Deal with it. Sorry.
Huge head scratcher. If this house in Midnight Motorist is the Afton family home, then what the heck is the house in FNAF 4? The floor plans are extremely different, and the Midnight Motorist house is in the middle of a frickin' forest. Our answer comes from William and his wife's relationship. At the end of every night in Sister Location, we watch a television show called The Immortal and the Restless. It follows Vampire Vlad and his human wife Clara arguing over their son, and whether or not the child is Vlad's.
Happening now. Clara, I tell you, the baby isn't mine.
Count, I tell you that it is. You're the only vampire I've ever loved. And the baby turns his bottles into powdered milk.
That doesn't mean anything.
Damn, son, is that popcorn good? Like, chill.
Notice Vlad wears a purple suit, and the son clearly looks a lot like Vlad, similar to how Michael looks like his father William. These details lead me to believe that the show is a representation of William and his wife's relationship after Michael was born. After Mrs. Afton has two more kids, Elizabeth and the Crying Child, William becomes alcoholic and abusive, which leads to a divorce. Why is this important? Well, divorced parents usually live in two separate houses, and that's our answer. The Midnight Motorist house is William's, and the FNAF 4 house is Mrs. Afton's. After her death, the whole family, now consisting of William, Michael, Elizabeth, and Crying Child, moves into the larger of the two homes, the FNAF 4 house. As for the footprints, many believe that this was a nightmare animatronic, but this seems unlikely. If it was a nightmare animatronic, wouldn't it make sense for all four to be there, not just one? The only three-toed animatronic that would make sense here is Spring Bonnie, as it is shown to have 3 toes in FNAF World. William is putting on the Spring Bonnie suit and staring through his own son's window to prevent him from going to his mother's grave. But why include this weird detail? Well, it explains the bite victim's fear of the Springlock animatronics in FNAF 4. The reason William is doing it in the first place is to keep Crying Child from exiting his room and running to his mother's grave, but since William can't do it on a night with rain, Crying Child is able to escape to his destination. William tries to rush home as soon as possible, but he's too late. He promises to punish his son even harder. Huge thanks to user/RetroBeetle on the Game Theorist subreddit for putting most of this together. Personally, I think it's the best explanation we have for this confusing ass minigame. And with that, we can put 2 more events on the timeline: Charlie's death and Midnight Motorist.
I give you
way
one.
more bitches than you know. What are you talking about?
Fuck no, baby. So, after Charlie's murder, William distances himself from Henry and founds Afton Robotics, his own animatronics company. He builds an underground bunker directly underneath his new house and starts working on a new series of animatronics for his new restaurant, Circus Baby's Pizza World. But there's a twist. See, the Funtime animatronics were created to lure and capture.
Also, those chips are pretty good, bro. If you don't say those chips are like, I'm not saying like I know this is so off topic, but I'm not saying like they're like my all-time faves. I'm just saying like if there's a bag and like if you don't want to eat like Lay's potato chips, like the original or maybe even the sour cream, bro, that shit is busting. Like that's actually really good. Like I would eat that. Like. Now, if I would probably want to get a big bag. I'd probably get the small bags, like where you get in those like variety packs, like those small bags. Because I don't think I can eat a whole bag. Like that would actually hurt my stomach. But yeah, I know that was very off topic. But back to the video.
Children. We see this design features in their blueprints. Parental tracking, voice mimic and luring, storage tanks, parental voice sync, and deter and misdirect are only some of their features. We can take this a step further by saying William created them to research how dead people can possess these animatronics. We know that William is aware of animatronic possession at this time because in FNAF 6, we see a blueprint of the Scooper, a device existing in William's underground bunker. One of its functions is being a remnant injector. Remnant is a cringe concept from the books and is essentially the soul juice that makes the animatronics come alive. It's sci-fi, it's weird, it's cringe. Moving on. The only way William would know that Remnant existed is if he knew about animatronic possession, and the only way he would know about that is if he actually saw an animatronic being possessed. So, who does he see being possessed? You guessed it, the puppet. So William finishes building his new crew of fun-loving and child-murdering robots and puts them in his new establishment, Circus Baby's Pizza World. However, there's a problem. His daughter Elizabeth really wants to see the restaurant's main attraction, Circus Baby. We hear her begging William to let her see Baby in sister location.
Daddy, why won't you let me play with her? Daddy, you let the other children go see her. Didn't you make her just for me?
William refuses, knowing that if Elizabeth gets too close to the animatronic clown, Baby's programming would attempt to either kill or capture Elizabeth. But despite his orders, Elizabeth goes to see Baby anyway. We hear the following events from Baby's perspective in sister location.
Did you know that I was on stage once? It wasn't for very long. Only one day. I would always count the children. I'm not sure why. 2, then 3, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 2, then none. They usually played together in groups of 2 or 3. There were 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Something happened when there was one, a little girl, standing by herself. My stomach opened, and there was ice cream. There was screaming for a moment, but only for a moment.
So, Elizabeth is killed by Baby, and in one of sister locations...
Motherfucking chug wood what?
Herself. Oh. My stomach opened, and there was ice cream. There was screaming for a moment, but only for a moment.
So, Elizabeth is...
Motherfucking ding dong oh wing wong.
Killed by Baby, and in one of sister locations minigame, we actually see this happen. Notice that Baby's eyes are blue in this minigame, and afterwards they are green. This implies that Elizabeth's soul now inhabits the Circus Baby animatronic, and that William was likely the one that aided in that process. Elizabeth's death causes William to shut down the restaurant on its opening day. The incident is covered up by claims that there were gas leaks in the building, and the Funtime animatronics, including Baby, are retired to William's underground bunker. The reason I'm placing this event before the bite in FNAF 4 is simple. The girl's bedroom in FNAF 4 is empty, implying the death of the child. This may seem like a violation of a rule about FNAF 4 not being allowed to explain sister location, but this one's a special case. See, the empty sister's room has zero narrative impact on the story of FNAF 4. It's a breadcrumb that Scott placed in case he wanted to continue the story. More evidence arises if we consider the sister location gas leaks teaser. A quote from a local. There was so much excitement around the place opening. If this happened post bite of 83, parents wouldn't be too keen on another animatronic-themed pizzeria. They'd be terrified another accident would occur. But the most damning piece of evidence is the camera feed fixed on William Afton's youngest son's room in sister location. Why would William need to be observing his son? Yeah. Well, his daughter's just died, so he needs to keep a close watch on his youngest child, especially when he's down in his lab doing his research. This series of events recontextualizes the FNAF 4 line, "I will put you back together." And yes, this is William speaking. We get confirmation of this from the Fredbear plush with the camera/walkie-talkie in the private room, that William is controlling the Fredbear plush from FNAF 4, talking to his son and giving him advice or scaring him or whatever he's doing. This is also why William is orange instead of purple in Midnight Motorist, to draw the connection between the text color of Orange Guy and the Fredbear plush. Back to the point, William says, "I will put you back together," because he's confident that he can. Why? Because he's just succeeded in putting Elizabeth back together after her death by guiding her soul into Circus Baby.
You say my wife is dead?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry to inform you, but that's what the telegram says.
High five!
There's a very popular theory that...
Before we get into more, I'll probably finish this recording later. You guys are going to see it in one whole video. You guys are going to see it in a whole one video. For me, I am taking a break. We're only in 26 minutes in. That's crazy. So yeah, you guys are going to see in one whole video. I'll record the rest of this later, so probably tomorrow. Because it's 10 o'clock at night, and I got school tomorrow. So, I don't know why I'm yapping about this. Yes, see you in the next part in this video. We're back where we left off, guys. So, we were at the Blora wife theory.
That's what the telegram says.
High five!
There's a very popular theory that William's wife inhabits the Funtime animatronic Ballora. While a lot of evidence definitely suggests the theory, I don't think that Mrs. Afton is possessing Ballora. My theory is that after she dies, sometime before Midnight Motorist, William is grief-stricken, and when he builds the Funtimes, he builds an animatronic in her image, Ballora. Some voice lines in Ultimate Custom Night seem to point towards Ballora being possessed by Will's wife, but this can be explained easily as it just being William's perception of Ballora, as we play as William during Ultimate Custom Night. The one piece of concrete evidence for this theory is the first version of the Freddy Files, where it makes a point to differentiate Baby and Ballora's voice lines from Funtime Freddy's. The implication is that Baby and Ballora are possessed and Funtime Freddy isn't, but this has been disproven by more recent evidence. In the game files of FNAF 6, we can see a scan of Molten Freddy, with the security tags of Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, and Ballora active. For the uninitiated, Molten Freddy is a scrap heap of Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, and Ballora. I'll explain this later. The text reads, "With the most amount of remnants collectively in its structure, this amalgamation of Afton's constructs is a necessary element of paragraph 4.
So does that mean Ballora... I'm not trying to be like really dumb here, but this means that Ballora has a spirit that we don't know. He might explain in this video, but yeah, let's get back into it.
Most amount of remnant, as in more than one animatronic is possessed in Molten Freddy, this seems to be implying that all three entities in Molten Freddy are indeed possessed, meaning that the voice line distinction between Ballora and Funtime Freddy no longer holds up. The main reason I'm denying this theory, even when there is a lot of evidence pointing toward it, is that Mrs. Afton's death or possession is never shown in the games. With every other victim, Elizabeth, Crying Child, the missing children, the Save Them kids, we see their deaths or their dead bodies, near animatronics no less. We don't see any of that with Mrs. Afton. Scott could have added it in for FNAF 6, since Ballora wife was a prominent theory before that game released, but he didn't. Therefore, I don't believe that Mrs. Afton possesses Ballora, rather that building Ballora is William coping after his wife's death. To preface, the Nightmare animatronics are the big bads of FNAF 4, incarnations of the original 4 animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, but with sharper teeth and withered shells. My theory for the Nightmares is that William built them after Elizabeth died to stop his son from going to any Fazbear-related establishment in order to prevent any more of his children dying animatronic-related deaths, even though the Nightmares are inherently dangerous in of themselves, but that doesn't matter. Crying Child was already afraid of the golden springlock suits thanks to William staring at him through the window, but as seen in FNAF 4, he has a fondness for the classics. This explains why the nightmares are incarnations of the classics. William is trying to make Crying Child hate the cast of characters at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. In Sister Location, one of the mini-games is to restore power to various locations around the underground bunker. However, there are 3 other rooms that we are restoring power to. The rooms from FNAF 4. The house from the mini-games, the gameplay area, and the fun with plush trap room. The 2 observation rooms are obviously in different physical locations, meaning that the FNAF 4 minigame house is not the same as the FNAF 4 gameplay house. Here's my point. Crying Child and Mike, along with Elizabeth at one point, lived in the FNAF 4 minigame house. However, after William realized the danger of animatronics via Elizabeth's death, he created the Nightmares and the FNAF 4 gameplay house to punish Crying Child for sneaking out at night and to make him afraid of the animatronics even more. Oh yeah, and there's still contention around the subject of the Nightmares' physicality since they're called Nightmare animatronics after all. The assumption is that they are just figments of the Crying Child's imagination, but no, they are definitely physical entities. Let's look at the Breaker Room map again. See these white dots? They presumably represent animatronics. Let's label them. There's Baby, Ballora, Funtime Foxy, Funtime Freddy. Okay, easy. These 2 are probably Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, and this one is Plush Trap. But then, what are these for? Oh, you know what I'm gonna say? They are the Nightmare animatronics, clear as day. How do we know that William built them? Well, in Custom Night, Nightmare Freddy says,
I am remade, but not by you, by the one you should not have killed.
Keyword, remade, implying that Nightmare Freddy existed as a physical entity in the first place. Case closed. I do not want to hear it.
That's what I love. Nestle Crunch.
Okay, the bite of 83. We've already established that the FNAF 4 bite happens in 1983, where the Crying Child's older brother Michael tries to play a prank on him, which ends in Crying Child's death. William had tried to prevent this by observing his youngest son with a combination of security cameras and the Fredbear plushie, but in the end, he failed. The Crying Child's death results in the closing of Fredbear's family diner, and the Crying Child possesses the Fredbear animatronic, likely with help from William. There are some minor details from these minigames that we can unpack, but I'd rather do that when we get to the missing children's incident. So, Crying Child dies and Fredbear's closes. With that, we can finally move on from 1983.
I hope you die.
Damn. That was all in 1983? That was a long year. Holy shit. Back to the video. The fuck is this transition?
Next up is a minor detail, but important for the world building of FNAF. By the time of the FNAF 3 vintage training tapes, multiple Freddy Fazbear's pizzas are open for business.
Every location is built with one extra room that is not included in the digital map layouts programmed for the animatronics or security system.
We learn that each location has a safe room that is off camera and invisible to the animatronics, and that apparently at this time, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza not only has the classics and the puppet, but also the golden springlock suits from FNAF 4.
Right now we have 2 specially designed suits that double as both animatronic and suit.
The reasonable explanation for this is that after Fredbear's closed, Fazbear Entertainment distributed the springlock suits to the multiple Freddy Fazbear's Pizza locations, but with a key difference. Fredbear's accessories are no longer purple but black, and he seemingly has been renamed to Golden Freddy. This makes sense, as the Fredbear name would generate bad PR considering, he killed a child. I especially like this small detail in the lore, not only because it makes it believable, but thematically, purple is the color of death in this series, and having purple associated with the original Fredbear is just a cute sprinkle of narrative spice.
Dude, it's so true.
On night 4 of FNAF 3, Phone Guy tells us that it is company policy to no longer use the springlock suits. This is because there has been an incident at the sister location that involved multiple and simultaneous springlock failures. Some have assumed that this is a reference to the bite of 83, but this cannot be the case. Fredbear is in animatronic mode here, not in suit mode. It is impossible for Fredbear's springlocks to trip, as they are in the unfolded position. Also remember our rule, FNAF 1 through 3 must be a contained story, therefore this incident must explain something within those games. Our answer? The Shadow animatronics. On rare occasions in FNAF 2, you will encounter Shadow Freddy in Parts and Service or Shadow Bonnie, better known as RWQ. If the incident at the sister location was a simultaneous failure that involved springlocks, it means that 2 employees wearing a Fredbear and Spring Bonnie suit bled out and died due to misuse of the suits. They went on to become shadowy versions of the suits they died in. More evidence relating to Shadow Freddy proves that they are employees. How does Shadow Freddy know where the safe room is? The only ones who know where it is are management and employees. Therefore, Shadow Freddy is probably an employee. The incident results in the discontinuation of the golden spring lock suits, and they are retired to another location to be looked at by technicians.
Man, these kids, man, talking shit, making me feel bad. Man, fuck them kids, bro.
In FNAF 3, Phone Guy makes note that the Spring Bonnie costume has been noticeably moved. This matches the events described.
Sorry I've been talking for, a bit, but I'm just, full on focused into the video. So...
in the FNAF 1 newspaper clippings, a man, William, is disguising himself as a mascot and luring kids into the back room.
Okay.
This leads us into a controversial take. See, in the first short story of the new Fazbear Frights FNAF books, Into the Pit, a murdering of children in a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza takes place in 1985, rather than the previously assumed 1983. This has begun the debate of the missing children incident of 1983 versus 1985. But as a quick aside, can I just say that the books are so fucking cringe from a lore perspective. They take place in an alternate
Dude, this is so true.
universe from the games and are used to explain stuff that happens in the games, but it's such a boring and lazy way to put lore into your series. FNAF 1 through 3 had the phone calls, but they were vague and they had personality, and most of the lore was conveyed through minigames. FNAF 4 eliminated dialogue completely, then Sister Location went the other direction and made dialogue the entire narrative. But it is so boring when the shit is just explained to you in a series like FNAF. The whole appeal is that the story happened, but we never see the events. That's what lore is, and why we will never get a game at Fredbear's. It would ruin the mystery. Anyway, the main evidence for Missing Children Incident 83 is that this little girl in the FNAF 4 minigame states that you'd better watch out, I hear they come to life at night, and if you die, they hide your body and never tell. But what does that even mean? Does that mean this girl witnessed the children getting murdered? No, notice the wording. I hear they come to life at night. This is a commonly told rumor among the kids, and you could...
Oh shit, are we still in Dream Theory? I don't think so.
Even go as far to say that in the context of FNAF 4 Dream Theory gave the crying child nightmares of the animatronics coming to life, even though in Sister Location the nightmares were retconned to be real. Another argument used is that the Core 4 plushies show up in the crying child's final death scene. Are these the spirits of the missing children? Was he friends with them? Hell no. A lot of people ignore the fact that the crying child is rejected by the other kids and treated like a loner. Take Laughing Kid, who chastises crying child for being afraid of the animatronics. He's forced to make imaginary friends in the plushies, even saying, "These are my friends." Of course, his only friends, even if they're imaginary, would show up next to him while he was dying. Some people also interpret Purple Guy putting the Spring Bonnie head on an employee as a murder, but this was straight up deconfirmed in the Ultimate Guide, not to mention it fits the quote from Scott, "What is seen in shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child." But the biggest nail in the coffin that disproves Missing Children Incident 83 is, explain why the Spring Bonnie suit is moved in the FNAF 3 tapes, after Springlock suits are decommissioned.
Management has also been made aware that the Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved and would like to remind employees that this costume is not safe to wear under any circumstances.
That was another... Okay, guys, we are back. I'm sorry, I had to carry it.
Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved and would like to remind employees that this costume is not...
Oh my god, bro.
safe to wear under any circumstances.
Since Springlocks are still active during the time of the bite, and Missing Children Incident must happen when the Springlock suits are decommissioned, Missing Children Incident must happen after the bite. It's Chekhov's animatronic murder suit. If the Spring Bonnie costume is noticeably moved, it must mean that the Missing Children Incident is occurring. And another nail in the coffin because I wanted to, Phone Guy works at the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location that the Missing Children Incident takes place in, which means, if the Missing Children Incident occurred before the bite of 1983, he would have to know of Fredbear's Family Family Diner, which closed in 1983. But in FNAF 2, Phone Guy says Fredbear's Family Diner like it's an alien concept to him. This tells us that at the time of the missing children incident, the concept of Fredbear's has been successfully erased from the mind of the public. Even the upper management staff at Freddy's don't know about it. So on June 26th, 1985, William disguises himself as Spring Bonnie and kills 5 children at a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and stuffs their bodies into the remaining 5 suits: Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy. As seen in the Give Gifts, Give Life minigame, Charlie, possessing the puppet, guides each child's soul into the animatronics, letting them walk again as robots. Yep. Oh yeah, and this Freddy's is the same one as the FNAF 1 Freddy's, as the Foxy Go 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 minigame layout is the same, so yeah. Let's back up a bit. In FNAF 6, we get this super random minigame called Fruity Maze, where a car hits this girl's dog, and then the girl is led away by William in a Spring Bonnie suit. The consensus is that this girl is named Susie and is the child who goes on to possess Chica. Therefore, Fruity Maze occurs in 1985. We also know that Susie was the first to be killed of the missing children due to Withered Chica's Ultimate Custom Night quote,
"I was the first. I have seen everything."
The inclusion of the dog is really weird and random, and when the game came out, the biggest theory was that the dog would go on to possess Mangle in FNAF 2. The main evidence was the dog's appearance, missing an eye and all, and in an Ultimate Custom Night cutscene, Mangle is referred to as a dog. This theory has lost traction, mostly because Mangle was created for the 1987 FNAF 2 pizzeria, and the missing children incident where Fruity Maze takes place is in 1985. That's a whole 2-year gap. However, a detail that a lot of people have forgotten is the name of Mangle's previous form: Funtime Foxy. In FNAF World, it was revealed that when Mangle was whole, it was named Funtime Foxy, not the assumed toy Foxy. Come sister location, we are introduced to the Funtime animatronics. This isn't just a silly little coincidence. Scott could have named them the Playtimes, the Goofballs, or the Shit Farts, anything but Funtime, and I would not have batted an eye. But there is an obvious connection here. Pairing this detail with the Mangle toy in the FNAF 4 girls' bedroom indicates that Mangle existed long before FNAF 2. However, even though there is a lot of evidence that Mangle could be a dog, there is no explanation of how that could have happened. Our best theory for this is that the Mangle seen in the FNAF 4 bedroom is a prototype for the Funtime Foxy in sister location. As we see in the FNAF 1 newspaper clippings, Freddy's closes due to the multiple tragedies as well as the state of their animatronics. William is charged but not jailed as the bodies couldn't be found. Fazbear Entertainment looked for a buyer of the pizzeria but couldn't, and the pizzeria closed somewhere toward the tail end of 1985.
Hello? Hi.
2 years later, in 1987, Freddy...
We finally got... We're almost done with this video. We have 20 more minutes, guys. 20 more minutes. Okay, we're done with 1983, which is the longest version of this, probably the longest part of the timeline. We just got done with 1985. Get ready for 1987.
Is back on its feet with the FNAF 2 location. It's been rebranded as a new and better Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, with new toy incarnations of Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica based on previous merchandise, along with a new character, Balloon Boy, and possibly an old one, Funtime Foxy. The old gang from the FNAF 1 pizzeria have been moved to the FNAF 2 location for parts: Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, along with the puppet, who's been placed in the prize corner. Within the first couple weeks of opening, the kids tear Funtime Foxy apart, leaving the mess that is Mangle. Jeremy Fitzgerald is our blue-collar night guard, and we're told that he is the second one to work at this location, and by the looks of his paycheck, it's Jeremy's first week on the job. Sometime during the week, an investigation begins, and Phone Guy tells Jeremy that no one is allowed in or out, especially concerning previous employees. This is a reference to the first night guard who worked there, the night guard that was moved to the day shift. This is obviously William, and the events of the Save Them minigame has just occurred. 5 more kids have fallen victim to the shadowy purple man. Phone Guy makes note that the animatronics are acting differently, meaning that they are now possessed by the 5 new children. After night 6, Jeremy moves to the day shift to watch over one final birthday party, and is told to stay close to the animatronics. Seeing that Fred Smith, a new guard, replaces Jeremy on night 7, it's safe to say that Jeremy is probably injured in what is known as the Bite of 87. Jeremy lives, confirmed by Phone Guy in FNAF 1.
It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe.
Fritz is then fired the next day.
Hold on, guys, bro. Okay, I think I got it.
Fritz is then fired the next day for tampering with the animatronics and odor. On night 6, Phone Guy mentions information surrounding the investigation.
Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one.
This is the same night that Golden Freddy enters the fray, implying that William used the Golden Freddy suit as opposed to the Spring Bonnie suit. Why? Well, remember what Phone Guy says in the vintage tapes of FNAF 3.
The previously mentioned safe rooms are being sealed at most locations, including this one. Work crews will be here most of the day today, constructing a false wall over the old door face. Nothing is being taken out beforehand, so if you left anything inside, then it's your own fault.
Many interpret this to be William himself being trapped in the safe room, but this isn't plausible, as the calls take place in 1985, and William can't be trapped until the FNAF 1 location closes in 1993. Solution? It wasn't William who was trapped inside the wall in the FNAF 1 location, it was just the Spring Bonnie suit, hence why it wasn't transferred to the FNAF 2 location with Golden Freddy. It also explains why Spring Bonnie is in the safe room in the FNAF 3 End Night minigames. It was left there by William all the way back in 1985. This also means that when William killed the Save Them kids, he was wearing the Golden Freddy suit with the spirit of a dead child inside of it. That must have been fucked up for that child to experience. It would sure suck if that child had the ability to trap their killer in a purgatory-like state, leaving him to suffer for eternity. Now would be a good time to mention Michael. After killing his brother and hearing of his father's misdeeds, he has taken it upon himself.
Can I just say, bro, this is like very long. This video. I know it's an hour, bro, like, let's just continue.
To try and free the souls of the animatronics. He heads to the FNAF 2 location and works there under the alias Fritz Smith. We know this because Michael's name is shared with the FNAF 1 night guard, Mike Schmidt, who was also fired for the same reasons as Fritz was. This is the headcanon that has been adapted by the community and is generally well accepted and understood as true canon. Now, we can move on to where it all started. Michael Afton, aka Mike Schmidt, works at the FNAF 1 Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which, might I remind you, is the same pizzeria that the missing children incident occurred in 1985. The current year is 1993, and Mike works here for 7 nights, fired for odor and tampering with the animatronics. We know that it's Mike because when the player dies, we get a shot of 2 blue eyeballs hanging out of a Freddy suit. As seen in the sister location custom night end scenes, Mike has blue eyes. The only mystery to unveil here is the Golden Freddy It's Me, which can be answered using one of the coolest but most annoying lore pieces of the series, the survival logbook. See, in this logbook you have your classic diary of a wimpy kid do-it-yourself bullshit, multiple choice and comic strips and all that junk, but there is more going on here. 3 forces are in this book, one being Mike, the owner, flat out told to us in the front cover, but some of the others are a little hard to pin down. We see a spirit communicating to someone using faded text, and a spirit using altered text, literally changing what the book's print says. Faded points out page numbers with the words, my name. Putting all of these page numbers into the word search, using it as an inverse grid system, gives you the name Cassidy. The word search has a shit ton of it's me's in it, implying that Cassidy is the name of the child who possesses Golden Freddy, killed in the missing children's incident. Assuming that Cassidy is talking to the other spirit, there are some things we can draw from their interactions. The first bits of dialogue seem to fit together. The party was for you. It was for me. The rest seems like Cassidy is trying to jog Altered's memory about something. What do you remember? Was your favorite childhood toy a plastic purple telephone? Do you remember your name? Do you have dreams? Was your favorite ride the carousel? Do you miss them? Does he still talk to you? Altered's responses reinforce this. It seems like they're trying to come into consciousness. I can't see. I hear sounds. I'm scared. But the line about the party is the nail in the coffin. Who was the party for? Crying child. This conversation seems to imply that the crying child from FNAF 4 is present in the logbook and thus present inside of the Golden Freddy animatronic with another child's soul. But 2 souls in 1 animatronic, you say? That's preposterous, absolute lunacy. Well, referring to the cringe-ass books, the same exact thing happens in a being known as the Stitch Wraith. MatPat did a series of videos covering the connection between Golden Freddy and the Stitch Wraith, so I recommend checking those out because I actually cannot be bothered to explain this theory anyway. So how does Crying Child possess Golden Freddy in the first place? The only logical explanation is that the Golden Freddy from FNAF 1 and 2 are one and the same with the Fredbear from FNAF 4. This theory was strengthened in Ultimate Custom Night when Fredbear's official model was revealed.
Sorry guys. Let's continue where we were. So we'll probably need to go back a little bit.
crying child from FNAF 4 is present in the logbook, and thus present inside of the Golden Freddy animatronic with another child's soul. But 2 souls in one animatronic, you say? That's preposterous, absolute lunacy. Well, referring to the cringe-ass books, the same exact thing happens in it being known as the Stitch Wraith. MatPat did a series of videos covering the connection between Golden Freddy and the Stitch Wraith, so I recommend checking those out, because I actually cannot be bothered to explain this theory anyway. So how does Crying Child possess Golden Freddy in the first place? The only logical explanation is that the Golden Freddy from FNAF 1 and 2 are one and the same with the Fredbear from FNAF 4. This theory was strengthened in Ultimate Custom Night when Fredbear's official model was revealed, and it looks pretty similar to Golden Freddy. So we got 2 children stuck inside Golden Freddy, one is frightened and scared, and the other looking for vengeance.
Have at thee! Ah, my fucking knee!
After the FNAF 1 pizzeria closes for the final time, William returns to destroy the animatronics. At least, that's the implication of the original trilogy. FNAF 6 seems to have retconned this to be William collecting the remnant of the animatronics. Remember the weird sci-fi soul energy? Henry tells us how. William led them back into the safe room exactly how he lured them back when they were alive and dismantled them, taking their remnant and leaving the mascot shells. What does William do with this remnant? Well, he needs it to power up his old creations, the Funtime animatronics. He injects the remnant into the Funtimes, giving them new life. A minor note about remnant. The 4 missing children do know who they are and who killed them, but once their remnant is taken and put into the Funtimes, they behave more like animals, unaware of their surroundings and acting on pure instinct. Okay, back to the story. When William comes for the 5th spirit's remnant, presumably Cassidy's, all 5 children's spirits persist and corner William in the safe room. He puts on the spring Bonnie suit for protection, but due to the poor condition of the restaurant, water falls from the ceiling, moistening the locks of his suit, causing them to trip, killing William. William dies in a pool of blood, and the safe room is boarded up. Next, the events of the 5th game's sister location takes place. Mike returns to his childhood home and finds his way to the underground bunker, where his sister, in the form of Circus Baby, awaits. It seems like the remains of Afton Robotics have revamped the bunker as Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental, where animatronics are rented out to clients. Hand Unit tells us that the facility opened after the last Freddy's closed, therefore it opened after FNAF 1 and presumably after William's death. By the end of the week, Baby has gained Michael's trust, and she lures him into the scooping room where his fate awaits. Michael's organs are scooped out, leaving just his skin. The 4 Funtime animatronics, Baby, Ballora, Funtime Freddy, and Funtime Foxy, combine their parts to make a mass of wires known as Ennard. They collectively climb into Michael's skin so they can appear human in the surface.
Yeah, I remember this.
When Ennard reaches the surface, Michael's body begins to rot, physically turning purple. Ennard says fuck this and retreats to the sewer. However, Michael refuses to die, likely because the scooper infuses remnant into people, as we learn from FNAF 6.
You won't die, you won't die, you won't die. You won't die.
The fuck?
Before we move on, we need to discuss something that the community has brushed aside for so long: Chica's Party World. It only appears once in the canon series, in the source code of scottgames.com prior to the release of Sister Location, along with an animatronic scheduling chart. A misconception is that Chica's Party World was open when or before Circus Baby's Pizza World was open, but this doesn't make any sense. The code clearly states the location as a client of Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental, meaning that it's open at the time of Sister Location, which takes place after FNAF 1 and before FNAF 3. Anyway, Chica's Party World most likely rented the Funtime Chica animatronic out from Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental. My headcanon is that Fazbear Entertainment tried one last time to rebrand, this time with Chica. After all, she's the most unproblematic. An incarnation of Freddy bit a kid, Spring Bonnie lured and murdered like 10 of them, and Foxy's just a walking lawsuit. So Fazbear Entertainment rebranded with Chica, but no animatronic solution, rent out Funtime Chica from Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental.
Julian!
Sometime after Sister Location, the missing children inside of Ennard decide that Baby has too much power over them, so they decide to kick her out. We see this conversation play out on scottgames.com and fnafworld.com, each website being one side of the conversation. In my opinion, this is one of the coolest ways to drop lore in the whole series. Baby rebuilds herself as Scrap Baby, and Ennard becomes Molten Freddy.
Hey, Shinji, do you know Springtrap?
I don't understand.
Five Nights at Freddy's 3.
FNAF 3 occurs in 2023. The new location is called Fazbear Frights, a horror attraction meant to profit off of the tragedies that happened all those years ago. A lot of Freddy's memorabilia has been collected to decorate the establishment, including the living corpse of William Afton inside of Spring Bonnie, now dubbed Springtrap. Michael is our night guard yet again, as he sees hallucinations of the FNAF 2 animatronics plus FNAF 1 Chica.
Okay.
On night 6, Michael burns down the entire building, trying to kill his father once and for all. However, as we see in the ending newspaper clipping, Springtrap survives, which means the bad ending of FNAF 3 has occurred. The missing children have not found peace and still want revenge. Regarding the minigames, my best explanation for them is that the children from Save Them, the ones who possess the toy animatronics, are trying to give the children from MCI 1 their happiest day. We see Toy Chica, Balloon Boy, and Mangle giving cake to the children, along with the spirit of employee inside of Shadow Bonnie. The final Happiest Day minigame is definitely meant to parallel the birthday party of FNAF 4. Obviously, this wasn't intended at the release of FNAF 3 because it was meant to be the final game, but Scott connected Happiest Day to FNAF 4 by inverting the layout of the restaurant and matching the colors of the lights and the balloons. The 4 kids here are the ones killed in the missing children incident, minus the spirit that possessed Golden Freddy, Cassidy. The one in the Golden Freddy mask is Crying Child, William's son, as we know that the party in FNAF 4 was for him. The puppet gives the Crying Child cake and all of the spirits are finally put to rest. The placement of Happiest Day is pretty shaky. Before the release of Security Breach, I was pretty sure that it took place after FNAF 6, but Steel will kind of fuck the whole lore because there's some evidence that the spirit of Crying Child is still present in the FNAF universe, which means that the missing children are likely present as well, which is pretty cringe. The frick going on?! Time for my favorite game in the series, FNAF 6. It's the final showdown. Henry finally decides to show up and do something and calls all of the remaining animatronics back to the new location, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place. Baby comes in the form of Scrap Baby, and Ennard has transformed into Molded Freddy. Then there's the puppet. Okay. The last time we saw her was in the FNAF 2 location in 1987, so there's no telling what could have happened to her after that. All we need to know is that Henry designed a new animatronic, Lefty, to capture her using a combination of lullabies and controlled shocks to take her to the pizzeria. William is also lured to the establishment, but he looks a little different. Bone lips and a big-ass nose are not exactly what I'd call scary, but sure, Scott. The explanation for this change in appearance comes from FNAF 4. Look at this spare Spring Bonnie head in the backroom shelf. Looks pretty similar, right? Yeah. So how does William get his hands on this? Does he walk all the way to the abandoned Fredbears to get the suit? No, the likely answer is that the suit was already present in Fazbear Frights, as the location had gathered a multitude of Fazbear memorabilia. In the Insanity ending, we get explanations of how shit in the Fazbear universe works. There are these little audio lures called rasks that simulate children and were likely used in FNAF 3 to lure Springtrap away, and also in FNAF 6. We learn that the Scooper is infused with Remnant, we learn Lefty's purpose, and that Ballora, Funtime Foxy, and Funtime Freddy are still present in Molten Freddy. Okay. The game itself also does some impressive world building. Every day we can purchase animatronics from different catalogs, the most notable being Funtime Chica, Music Man, and El Chip. While Funtime Chica was likely rented out to Chica's party world from Afton Robotics, like we talked about earlier, El Chip and Music Man are probably Fazbear-owned entities, as we see incarnations of them in Security Breach. Yeah, in the true ending, a line from Henry tells us that Mike is the player character once again.
And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want.
Not right now, bro.
You are right where you want to be.
The remaining animatronics, Mike and Henry, all burn in a final blaze, ending the horrors to Freddy's name. We get a final end card showing 5 gravestones, representing the 5 missing kids, Gabriel being Freddy, Fritz being Foxy, Susie being Chica, Jeremy being Bonnie, and the covered gravestone being Cassidy in Golden Freddy. Charlie's grave overlooks all of them. This theory was strengthened at the end of the graphic novel trilogy, as we see her grave in the book. Ultimate Custom Night is an insane game. 50-20 mode is so hard it's actually a meme, and I can't believe people have dedicated the time to do it. But here I am on page 30 of the script, so I guess I'm equally as insane. Anyway, somehow this game is actually canon. This voice line from Jacko Chica also pretty much confirms that the player character is pretty much trapped in hell, and a lot of other lines imply that even though you die, you will be experiencing it over and over and over and over again. So who are we playing as? Well, for the first time, it's not Mike, it's William. As Henry said in FNAF 6, the darkest pit of hell has opened up for us, and we will be forced to play Five Nights at Freddy's. Forever. In the background of the mediocre melody's death voice lines, we can hear a child's voice echoing softly.
This is how it feels, and you get to experience it over and over and over again. Forever. I will never let you leave.
The voice call for this character is Vengeful Spirit. If you set Old Man Consequences to 1 and catch a fish, you get slapped into the 4th glitch of FNAF World. That sentence probably sounded like fucking nonsense, but fuck it. I've written over 10,000 words over the course of 3 months. I am not going to go into depth about it. In this glitched area, Old Man Consequences tell you to leave the demons to his demons. Rest your own soul. There is nothing else. Well, it's pretty clear that whoever he's talking to doesn't take his advice, as when you beat 50/20 mode, we get a cutscene of Golden Freddy, twitching, eyes remaining glowing and vigilant, refusing to rest. Also, this proves that Golden Freddy is a Springlock suit. The twitching is almost identical to Springtrap's twitching in the FNAF 3 trailer, so Golden Freddy equals Fredbear, triple confirmed, bada boom. The consensus of the community here is that Cassidy, the vengeful spirit, is keeping William in eternal damnation at the cost of his own soul finding peace. So yeah, that's the entire canon lore FNAF, completely solved. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't really like the new era of FNAF. FNAF 6 was just the perfect end for the series, and the new series is just so iffy. So, since I have significantly less passion for it, I'll give a rough outline of the story as opposed to going in detail with evidence, as the new generation of FNAF is less lore-based and more of a narrative. Years after FNAF 6, Fazbear Entertainment wants to cover up the damage done to their brand by making a VR game, making fun of the horrific tragedies that had happened at their establishments decades ago. Turns out they were pretty lazy and scanned some old animatronic circuit boards into their game, which somehow caused old Willie Afton himself to be trapped in the VR game as a computer virus, manifesting as the entity Glitchtrap. Glitchtrap's goal is to escape the game and make it back into reality, and he tries via possessing the mind of a person wearing a VR headset. He tries it on an employee named Jeremy, who goes insane and slices his face off with a paper cutter. A beta tester sees this and finds Glitchtrap, splitting him up into 16 parts within the VR game, preventing him from possessing anyone else. However, if you, the player, gather all 16 parts, Glitchtrap possesses you and he leaves the game. This is also where a new antagonist, Vanny, is introduced, a follower of Glitchtrap, who we are presumed to play as during the game. Along with the VR game, a service that delivers animatronics to your home is developed. A couple years later, Fazbear Entertainment builds the Mega Pizzaplex on top of the FNAF 6 location, and people start going missing again. A trans orphan named Gregory is trapped there one night, and with the help of his animatronic friend, Glamrock Freddy, he finds William back in the real world again, being kept functional by Vanny. Freddy and Gregory burn the place down, and that's how the stage has been set for Security Breach's DLC, where a young girl returns to a ruined pizzaplex. Oh yeah, by the way, the new era of FNAF brings back literally every spirit, like none of them are allowed to rest. Cassidy is a video game, Charlie is stuck in a room underneath the pizzaplex or something, Michael is Glamrock Freddy, I'm pretty sure, and the animatronics from the delivery service become this abomination. See, I told you, I don't really like the new era of FNAF. But regardless, I would have told you the full story in detail if it was solvable. It simply isn't right now, and I know that's like a speedrunner saying that sub-hour is impossible and getting sub-hour on the next run, but I truly believe Steel Wool needs to study up on how to convey information to create a coherent narrative. If you want a really good analysis of what Security Breach and Help Wanted have to offer lore-wise, I definitely suggest checking out FNAF's lore series on that. And I'm actually pretty excited for the Ruin DLC. I did play Security Breach and enjoyed the gameplay, not much the story, but I still do enjoy the game. And I just want to give a shout out to my friends on Instagram for being my FNAF lore consultants and helping me getting re-caught up with what is going on.
We're finally done. Oh my god. I can get rest. Thank you guys for watching the video. I know it was a long one, and I don't really post really long videos, maybe besides 40 minutes, but this is a new one, so you gotta deal with it, okay? But no, actually, thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe, and yeah, I think that'll be it. Peace. See that subscribe button? I just clicked it. No, you do, or I will find your house.